Okay, so I have a few things to discuss this morning. Good morning once again. First, I got to get this out before I forget it. Next week we have Impact Choir coming, and we have 14 girls and 10 boys to house. And I know we've done that here before, but let me just remind you, we're going to feed them on Saturday, and then we're going to feed them when is it? We'll feed them twice. But we got that covered, okay? That's done, but we need to house them on Saturday night. They need to go home with people so they can sleep in a bed and get rest. And then they also need to shower, right? So if you have a shower, that'd be great. I almost think I can cover all 10 boys at the parsonage. Both my kids will be gone, and we got 3 showers, and I think we might be able to do that. So I think they'd enjoy that too, and I probably would too. So we won't get any sleep, but we'll have a lot of fun. So basically we need 14 girls. Joanna and I will be at the back later, and I have a clipboard, and we'll take names down for anyone, but Phil, Chu, was that you were saying before? He didn't say any, I'm just putting him on the spot. Oh boy. Hey, I'm here to talk about the Bible. I just love the Bible, I really do. The Bible's awesome. There's so many great things in the Bible, and I gotta say, I love Jesus too. Jesus is so awesome. I just love how Jesus works with people and what he did, and so today I get to basically talk about some of my favorite stories because I can. That's my job, and so I get to do that this morning. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. So did we get slides worked out? We did! That's awesome. Rudolph gets like extra piece of candy today because he did great. So why don't you click up our first one there, and I'll just go like would that be good? I'd go like, that would be a click. Okay, good. Oh, there we go. God created everything good, right? Our things are squished, so unsquish them in your mind up here. Okay, but here's the funny thing. I'm reading the Bible. This is how it happens for me. Maybe it doesn't happen this way for you, but I'll start reading the Bible, and all of a sudden something will catch my attention. And then I'll stop, and I'll think about it a little bit, and I'll look for cross-references and all that. But one of the things that I just start reading the Bible, and right away you read about God creating things, and God created everything good. Right? And, this is the way God made me, so it's his fault, but I have to say, really? Everything's good? Because, he creates light, and that's good. And then sometime later, he created man and the animals, and he says, that's good. And I'm thinking, a duck is somewhat less good than light. But he said it was good. But I'm thinking, if I had to choose between light and a duck, I'm going to choose light. Light is used in like half the metaphors in the whole world. I mean, everybody uses light. Light is important. Light gives us energy. Light grows things. Light is so important. And ducks are less so. But God still said it was good. And I just it stops me. I think about this. I'm not trying to be a comedian. This is the way God wired me. He's saying, hey, it's good. And I'm thinking, and then God made ducks somewhat less good than light. That's just the way my mind works. But God said it was good. And I like that. He created mankind. And he said it was good. That's us. So one of the things that he was looking down. He's looking up now. One of the things that God created when he created mankind was taste buds. Now, if you think about how God created us, he created us good, right? But taste, yeah, okay. So God created us in a very specific way. Now, he did not have to include taste buds, did he? I mean, think about it. He didn't have to make us enjoy tasting things. He could have just said, okay, they got a tongue, they got teeth, they eat. That's great. But no, he was like, let's give them taste buds so they enjoy it more. thanks, God. Yeah. Oreos taste so good, right? But they're not the only thing that tastes good. What's your favorite food? Bacon? I heard bacon. Anybody else? Bacon? Anybody ever have a bacon on a donut? Anybody ever wrap other thing with bacon and eat them? Okay. Bacon sundae? You've had a bacon sundae? That sounds delicious to you, not to me, but that's fine. Your taste buds, right? Isn't it great? We have taste buds. Nobody else has any favorite food?
Pizza.
Pizza. What kind of pizza?
Pepperoni.
Pepperoni. Do you like it with cheese on it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sauce? Bacon?
Yeah.
She likes bacon. Bacon pizza? You ever have bacon on pizza? Okay, so everybody's getting hungry now, right? Well, I just want to think about this, okay? So, taste buds, they're a sensory organ, right, on your tongue, and they allow you to experience taste. And we experience sweet, salty, sour, bitter, whatever. And maybe your favorite thing is bitter or salty or sweet or whatever. But thank God for that, because he didn't have to give us taste buds, but he did. So I think that's pretty awesome. For me, one of my favorite things is cake. I like cake. I like cake and ice cream. I like it so much I like to sing that song, ice cream and cake, ice cream and cake. But that's the only line I know. So that's all I'm going to sing for you. I know you're bummed about that. Yeah, I heard you say thank you. So on my wedding day, I had this thing happen where we had a wedding cake, right? And I just finally got to sit down because we're all eating, taking pictures, blah, blah, blah. I got to sit down. They put a big old piece of cake in front of me. I'm like, oh, this is so good. I take one bite, and I'm hungry too, right? Because I haven't really eaten on my wedding day. And they're like, hey, Russ, come back. Got to take more pictures. And I tell the people around me, do not let anyone get this cake. Went and took some pictures, came back, it's gone. I'm like, where is my cake? I'm thinking they're just playing with me, right? No, they're like, they threw it away. That was my cake. I knew I should have carried it with me. I could have held that behind my back, whatever, but I didn't. So I got a little story to tell you. This is about a lady who wanted this, wanted a cake. She's getting ready to go. She's a young, nervous bride. She's planning her wedding, and she was terrified about the upcoming marriage. Anybody relate to that? To calm her nerves, she decided to have a Bible verse, which had always brought her comfort. 1 John 4:18. There is no fear in love, for perfect love casts out fear, on the side of her wedding cake. So she called the caterer, and all arrangements were made. About a week before the wedding, she received a call from the catering company. Is this really the verse you want on your cake? They asked. Yes, she confirmed it was the one she wanted. And after a few more questions, they said they would decorate the cake as requested. The wedding day came, and everything was beautiful when the bride walked in to find the cake emblazoned with John 4:18. For you have had 5 husbands, and the one whom you have now is not your husband. So sometimes it's the Bible, right? But sometimes it's how we use it, or in this case, misuse it. So by the way, today's sermon is brought to you by these verses right here. I'll read them. Don't have to stand. For some, you shouldn't stand. John 10:10b, I have come that you might have abundant life. First Hesitations 1:1. God will get someone qualified to do it. Denials 5:78, God doesn't need me. Genesis 1:27a, so God created mankind in his own image. 1 Timothy 2:1, I urge you first of all to pray for all people. Ask God to help them, intercede on their behalf, and give thanks for them. And then Ephesians 3:3, if he gets done early, we'll beat the Baptists to the buffet. Amen. Right. So that's really those are our verses for today, and that's what they're brought to you by. But I don't know if he's looking. Sometimes he's down and he's looking right at me. I can't tell. Click. I'll just do that too. So, no, the other way. We should have some orange stuff on it. Okay, there you go. Okay. So I was hoping, you know what I thought I'd do? I would be able to read the back wall. Right? You're laughing at me because you know what's happening, right? Okay, so sometimes reading the Bible stops me in my tracks, and that's what I was explaining before. And so in these stories, this is kind of what stops me in my tracks. I hope you enjoy this because I do, and it's fun to share. So sometimes I'm reading and something just stops me in my tracks, like when Balaam argued with his donkey. Okay, so here's the verses. Numbers 22, when the angel of the Lord moved on ahead and stood in a narrow place where there was no room to turn either to the left or the right, when the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, she lay down under Balaam, and he was angry and beat her with his staff. Then the Lord opened the donkey's mouth, and she said to Balaam, "What have I done to you to make you beat me these 3 times?" And Balaam answered the donkey, "You've made a fool of me. If I had a sword in my hand, I would kill you right now." Because that's how he said it, right? Because there's only one way anybody wouldn't stop and go, "You're talking." And that's if they were way over the top angry. Right? Obviously, right? A little bit of the backstory there. He was actually going with a prince and some other people from another king who asked him to come and curse the Israelites. And he had talked to God about this. And God had said, "Don't go." But here he is going after they came for like the 3rd time. And I'm sure they've promised him great reward. It says that in the Bible, so I think so. They've promised him great reward. And think of the honor and the way they're calling to him. You got to come. And that must feel really good. And now he's going. Princes, right? They dress nice. And they have really nice horses or camels or maybe even an elephant they're riding on. Everybody that was with them probably had great clothes and wonderful animals they're riding on and clothes on. Just beautiful. And here he is on his donkey, and this is now the 3rd time this donkey has done something wrong. And they had to just be laughing at him. He felt like the laughing stock. But this just stops me in my tracks. I don't care how upset you are at your donkey if your donkey talks. You don't argue with your donkey. That's just funny to me. I just can't get past this point of there's more to the story, but it just stops me. I'm like, are you kidding me? Really? Because I'm thinking the other people there, they're going, "Can I buy that donkey? Stop beating that donkey. I'm taking that donkey from you. That's my donkey now." Seriously, wouldn't you be thinking of the money you can make off that donkey? Like, I'd make a TV show about this donkey and it'd be real. So anyway, that's what happens to me. I kind of get caught. So next one, here's another story. David sent the ark to Obed-Edom out of fear. 2 Samuel 6:6, but when they arrived at the threshing floor of Nacon, the oxen stumbled. And Uzzah reached out his hand and steadied the ark of God. Isn't that a nice thing for him to do? He didn't want it to fall off. Then the Lord's anger was aroused against Uzzah, and God struck him dead because of this. So Uzzah died right there beside the ark of God. David was now afraid of the Lord, and he asked, "How can I ever bring the ark of the Lord back into my care?" So David decided not to move the ark of the Lord into the city of David. Instead, he took it to the house of Obed-Edom of Gath. And it says right after that, and his family prospered greatly in this time. Isn't this the same David that killed Goliath? And now he's afraid. He's like, "We're not bringing that in. Send it over there." Doesn't that just stop you and go, what is going on in David's head? Oh, come on, David. You had so many greater fears. And we already know he feared the Lord. We already know he had a relationship with God, a deep one. And now I'm reading this story, and he's like, he died, and I'm not bringing the ark in here. Let's send it over there. Really? It's so funny that the Bible captures these things. You know how many authors there were for the Bible? That's right, 77. Good answer. Other religious books in the world, do you know how many authors there are for all the other religious books in the world? One for each. You know how many years it covers for each one of those as they're putting them together? We know our Bible, it covered about 2,800 years, is that right? Something like that, 22 to 2,800. Theirs covers the life of the person that wrote it. You know how many people have evidence or saw the evidence of what was going on in the Bible? Many, 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 many people saw this evidence. They witnessed it. You know how many witnesses there are for all the other books of religion in the world? There's one witness, and it's that one person that wrote it. Isn't that amazing? Our Bible is so unique and so amazing. So I'm reading it. I just love it. I love reading it. I'm reading it, and then I get caught on something like this. Go to the next one. Okay, the day of crucifixion. Wow. Talk about something that really stopped me. So I'll just read this, and I'll tell you when this stopped me. Okay, darkness covers the land that's like at noon for 3 hours, noon till 3. Darkness covers the whole land. Then the temple curtain, when Jesus died, the temple curtain is torn in two. At that moment, the curtain in the temple was torn from the top to the bottom. And then there's this earthquake. The earth shook and the rocks split. The tombs broke open, and the bodies of many holy people who had died were raised to life. They left the cemetery after Jesus' resurrection, went into the holy city of Jerusalem, and appeared to many people. You know, I read this when I was in high school. I saw the movies, right? At college, I studied this. It wasn't until after college, at some point, somewhere, I was doing a little lesson on this for someone, and I read this line where it said, and these people who had died, these holy people, these righteous people, in some of the translations, the righteous people of God, got up and walked around the city. And in some it says appeared to many people, and some it said, and made chaos. You know how many times, I had graduated from college with a Bachelor of Arts in Christian Education, and I didn't know that. It took me till that one point where I'm like, what is this? What? People who were dead got up and walked around the city? Well, I believe the Bible's true. I believe this really happened. So let's take a quick look at this, shall we? So there's couple boys being raised by their grandparents, okay? And one boy is maybe a little more wayward, and he gets in trouble and likes to drink and everything. And the other boy is very awesome, and he does great things all the time, and it's awesome, right? So those two boys, they're doing their thing. And the grandparents do a real good job of helping this one be even greater and helping this one stay in line. As long as they're alive, they both prosper. Of course, the boy that stays in line better, he's prospering even more, and he's doing better and everything. And then in a terrible camel racing accident, the grandparents die. But they were the holy people. They were righteous in God's sight. So they died. Now the two boys inherit, right? And one boy goes right to the bar and just starts drinking. And about noon, he's there before noon. About noon, it gets dark. They're like, what is going on around here? This is crazy. And so they start lighting the lamps and candles, and they're like, just keep drinking, it's fine. So they keep drinking, and the other boy is like praying and thinking about how he can maybe make a fountain for his grandparents who were so awesome for him, and, doing other things that might honor them. And about 3 o'clock, the lights come back on. They're like, oh, finally. And those people that were drinking are like, it's better, man. I was getting tired of being dark, man. And they're still drinking. And then there's an earthquake. Bottles are falling, and all the people in the bar are trying to jump and catch them. Don't let those break, man. Those are precious. And they're trying to keep them. And so, our guy grabs one. He saves one. It's like, I saved one. And then he's taking a drink, and he looks out the window, and who does he see walk by? Man, I am so drunk. I need to stop drinking right now. I thought I saw my grandparents walking by. So he puts the stuff down, pays the barkeep, goes home, smacks the door open. You wouldn't believe who I think I saw. And he's walking in, and there's a back of the head. He turns around. There's Grandma. Grandpa's grabbing him. What do you think you're doing, boy? We're gone that long, and you're already drinking? Come on. You know, that's a silly little story, right? But if this happened, if this truly happened, what we read, and it stops me in my tracks, if this truly happened, this isn't so silly. These things happen. People walked out of the grave. They came out and they said, hey, what are you doing? How many of them went down to see where Jesus was hanging on the cross? We don't know. We don't know who the righteous in God were. Some theologians think it was like the great people of old, like Noah and all those kind of guys, and they would look different, and like, you know, kings, and they would walk, and you would see, wow, was that a king? Because they looked different, and they walked different, and they talked different, but who knows? It just says the holy got up out of their graves and walked around. And that just stops me in my tracks. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. All the rest of the stuff on that day is so amazing. It's so dramatic. But this is one that really just stopped me. Really? This happened? How about this one? The widow's son. Okay, Jesus is walking into a town, and he's got at least his 12 disciples, probably a few others following him. He's walking into a town, and they're walking right out of the town with a funeral procession. And he walks up and he goes, hey, what's going on? He's not dead. He walks over, touches the coffin. They put it, I don't know if they put it down or whatever, but he goes, let's just read it right here. It says, he says, don't cry, to the widow. Then he walked over to the coffin, touched it, and the bearer stopped. Young man, he said, I tell you, get up. Then the dead boy sat up and began to talk. And Jesus gave him back to his mother. Great fear swept the crowd, and they praised God, saying, a mighty prophet has risen among us, and God has visited his people today. And the news about Jesus spread throughout Judea and the surrounding countryside. Does anybody know where I got stopped? Where'd I get stopped? What was that boy saying? He says he sat up and he began to talk. What was it? They didn't record that. I want to know what that kid was saying. He wakes up, he starts talking. Well, they recorded that he talked. Why didn't they put in there what he said? He might have been going, hey, where's the pizza? I don't know. Maybe that was his favorite thing. But we don't know. But probably somewhat according to his personality, that's what he began to say. But I want to know. And I get stopped. I'm like reading the rest of it, sure. But I'm like, what did that kid say? Isn't the Bible awesome? I love that. So the next one. What happened to the official's daughter? Here's another one. Jesus is walking. He's walking. The official comes and finds us, hey, my daughter is sick and she's going to die, and I need you to come. And so then they meet him halfway and they say, no, she's already dead. And then he's like, no, let's go on. So he goes on to their home, and they get there and there's funeral music and everything. Get out, he told them. The girl isn't dead. She's only asleep. Can you guess what stopped me at this one? But the crowd laughed at him. He gets there, he goes, all right, she's not dead. They got the music playing, they're doing all that kind of thing. And they had professional mourners, by the way. No matter if you were super poor, you still were pretty much required to have at least one there. So I'm sure this was from a professional mourner. They just laughed at him. Like, are you kidding me? We're getting paid, man. You need to leave. This person's dead, and we're doing this. And so then after the crowd was put outside, Jesus went in and took the girl by the hand. She stood up. The report of this miracle swept throughout the entire countryside. But the thing that stops me is the crowd laughed at him, and I find that awesome. They didn't know Jesus, right? Next one. This is probably the best one about the death. What happened to Lazarus? So, I'm sure you know this story, right? What stops me? Anybody got an idea? Definitely that's not me. It's like, no, we can't roll that away. It's been how many days? And he stinketh. Bad. And when they would think stink, they would also think germs. That's how and that's true. We know that, right? The thing that stops me about this story is they were at the tombs. Do you think anybody else that day was burying anybody? Right? Some theologians believe that Lazarus and his family were very poor, and some believe that they were rich. Rich or poor, they would have a mourner, right? Let's just say this time they were rich, because this is what I learned first. So, they're rich, so they have some mourners there. Now, there's a group of them. They're all getting paid, right? Which one gets paid the most? The best mourner. I don't care who you are. If you grow ducks, and all the other people that grow ducks, you want to be the best, right? If you make knives, you want to be the best knife maker, right? Don't you? Don't you want to be the best, and you strive to be the best? So here we have Lazarus, he's dead, and his family would have some mourners there. Don't you think that certain mourners would strive to be the best? One of the ways they mourned is they would make up stories in song about this person that is now gone. And they would be lyrical, and they would sing about them and cry and put ashes on their head. And to us, it seems really crazy, but it was a part of their culture. This is what they did. I think that many mourners would make quite a din. Now, when Jesus walked up and he has the rest of the family with him, what do you think those mourners would do? Don't you think, this is normal human character, don't you think they'd switch it into high gear and start doing the best of their best for that person and start really making a racket? And then Jesus is like, hey, roll away the stone. And they do. And then he goes, Lazarus, come out here. And he does. And I'll just bet you it switched that sound off like that. Is anyone else in the tombs? Is anyone else burying someone that day? There was a lot of death. There probably was. So let's go to another tomb, okay? And here's a family, and they got some mourners, and they're mourning, and they hear, oh man, it's getting louder over there. Did you hear that go up? That was amazing. You'd look at each other going, that got louder, didn't it? Yeah. That was. And your mourners are mourning, and you're a part of it, and then all of a sudden, it just goes quiet. Now, what would you do? This is what I would do. I go, hey, Charles, come here. Go over there and find out what happened. Why'd it stop? So whoever you sent over there, they'd go over there, right? They'd go over and they'd find out, and they'd come back and they'd go, hey, Lazarus isn't dead anymore. Really? No, oh, okay. What? Did you say what I thought you said? Yeah, Lazarus, he's walking around over there. You got to come see it. Well, I'm here. We're more. He's over there. He's walking. He was like, what? What happened? I don't know. That Jesus guy is over there. What? Yeah, that Jesus guy. Go get him over here. Well, Jesus was busy, right? But I wonder if anybody walked up to him and said, hey, Jesus, can you come over here? Well, they could see him walking away, but you know what? There were other people there in the crowd. Don't you think if you were in the crowd, you'd start to tell this story pretty much right away? So here come some people from the other tombs, and they're like, what happened here? They're like, you wouldn't believe it. Lazarus walked out of the tomb. He's alive. It's crazy. Look, he's walking away. He's right over there. There's his tomb clothes. It's crazy. Isn't this crazy? Had they ever seen anything like this? Ever? No. It stops me in my tracks to think of the picture here, to think about what's going on. And then guess what? They're like, what'd he say? He just told them to come out. No incantation, no magic, no dance, no throwing stuff, no special smoke. No, he just told them to come out. Well, that'd be frustrating to me if I was in another tomb. I'm over there, my loved one died. I would want them to come back to life too. Because it really happened. And if it really happened, some craziness was around that. The Bible doesn't say all this stuff. It doesn't give you all this stuff. But this is the way God wired me, and so this is the way I am. So, next one. We're getting out of time here. So go back one. We'll just stick on that one. One of the reasons why I wanted to talk about all this is because in every one of these stories, something happened. Somebody missed it. Balaam missed it. He missed it. His donkey starts talking, and he's arguing with the donkey. He misses it. I think everybody else in that crowd would go, "Did I just hear that donkey speak?" And he's like, "I'm going to kill you. If I had a sword, I'd kill you, stupid donkey." And you know he was mad. He was screaming at the top of his lungs, or he would have noticed that. But he missed it. Balaam missed it. By the way, if you want to read the rest of that story, it comes out good for the donkey, so he doesn't get killed. But you should check that out. So then for David. David fears God, right? But he doesn't act appropriately. You see, God is right there. And he missed it. David missed it. And out of fear, he sent the ark away. Guess what? You should go read the story. But the ark actually comes back to Jerusalem, and David's all dancing all in front of it and stuff. So it's a pretty cool story. You should check that out. For the crucifixion, all of these things happened, right? But the ones who should have known it, they missed it. The ones that sent him to the cross, they missed it. The ones that sought to kill him every day before this, these people missed it. Well, how about the holy people walking around? I gotta think there was at least one person that got up and walked around that was holy and righteous in God that had been a priest. And you know where I think that priest would have gone? To the temple. And I think he caused some havoc in that temple. He wouldn't be afraid to walk right up to the chief priest at this time. He's like, "What are you going to do? Kill me? I'm already dead." He'd walk right in. "Hey, I'm back. You guys are stupid." I mean, wouldn't he say that? Maybe a little nicer and nice at it. But isn't that kind of funny then to think about the rest of the story there? Isn't it interesting to think about if this is true, which it is? These people missed it. So the widow's son, she didn't miss it. Her son started talking. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. She's lost her only son. She's a widow. Her life is over. You know the tragic story there. You know the hurt and the pain. And the boy sits up and starts talking. And I don't know what he said, but it ticks me off. It doesn't show that, but I'm going to find that guy when I get to heaven. I'm going to go, "What did you say?" Because it didn't say it in the Bible, and it bugged me. So thank you. The official's daughter, they laughed at Jesus. Surely they couldn't miss the fact that the girl lived, right? But they laughed at him. When he came in there, they missed it. He'd been in ministry long enough for them to know who he was and know about him. You know that? And they missed it. Wow. Lazarus. Lazarus didn't miss it, did he? But who did? What person realized that day they were standing in the very presence of God? Which ones? Which ones at that tomb? Maybe some of the mourners? Maybe some people who had heard about God and were kind of part of things, but not really. Maybe they've gone to temple because that's what they did. That was a part of their life, and they've heard these things, but it never really connected. And then they're standing there at Lazarus' grave because this crowd is walking around. I'm going to go see what's going on here, and this guy they didn't even know had him roll away the tomb, and he said, "Come out." I mean, some of the people right there realized that very day, I'm standing in the presence of God. This is amazing. Who gets this chance? Not many. Wouldn't you love to have that chance? See, that just stops me in my tracks. I'm like, how awesome would it have been to have been one of those people, one of those select few that actually got to meet Jesus? That's pretty amazing. So, this brings me to a tough question. And the tough question is this. How often do we miss it? Right? I mean, God's right here and we're looking the other way. God's right here doing something and we're like busy doing something else. We're like, oh, I'm doing my thing for God, but we miss it. How often does this happen? I think of that picture where the guy is like fishing and he's taking a selfie. He's like, ah, and there's a big old shark right behind him. He never knew that until he saw the picture, right? And God's not a shark, okay? But there's also the ones where they got all the well people are looking out this way. They got a picture of the boat and they're all looking that way. You can see all their backs and there's a whale jumping behind them. They just, like, back there, you missed it. And sometimes I think we do miss God. And honestly, I have times when I miss God. And those times are when my heart is hard and my prayers are cold. And everybody has these times, right? Where you're just kind of going through a little bit of a valley, or you're not as connected with God as you were in the past. But where's God? He's right here. He's right here, ready to jump right back in. So, Peter, we jumped over his story real quick, but I'm going to go ahead and hit it and go to this one. Good, stay right there. Perfect. Rudolph is reading my mind today. You're awesome. So some people actually called this a sin tax. That's what they called it later on. But the temple tax was kind of a funny thing. They had to pay for the temple, and so they came up with some money they had to pay. And it was like one person's wages for 2 days. And so the story, these guys actually come to Peter. And they come up to him. And if you say, look at this. The collectors of the temple tax came to Peter and asked him, doesn't your teacher pay the temple tax? Yes, he does. And then he went into the house. In another whole story, there's another one that says that he was there and then he went home, and on the way home he was thinking about it. But in this one, it says that he's right there at the house. So these temple tax people have come to his house and said, hey, does your master pay this? And Peter's like, well, of course he does. He goes in, and right away Jesus is like, what are you doing? That's crazy. I don't have to pay because I'm the son of the Father who lives in that house. So why would I pay? So he goes, but just to make because I'm sure Peter at this point is going, how am I going to pay this money? Do I pay it? Do I go out? Am I going to get arrested because I'm not paying and I said I was going to pay? And what's going to happen here? And so Jesus goes, hey, go down to the lake, cast out a line, catch a fish. First one you catch, there's going to be a coin in its mouth, and it'll be enough for everything. Now, in this case, let's just go right from this story. When he walks back out, those people were on the outside of the house, right? When he walks back out, where are they? Standing there waiting. Okay, where's your money? And Peter's like, follow me. He gets a fishing pole and he goes down. They're like, I'm not watching him fish. What are you doing? I'm not standing right here. What's going on? So they follow him down there. He casts out a line. We don't know how long it took. Maybe it was the first cast. He catches the fish, pulls it in, picks it up, pulls a coin out of his mouth. Goes, here you go. Now, that's funny, right? That's funny. I mean, you can't be alive and read that and go, that's funny. That's got to make you chuckle a little bit. But there's a whole nother side to that, too, where, Peter had to do it. He had to do it. He had to walk down there. He had to believe in Jesus. Did Peter miss that? He didn't, because he did the thing Jesus said to do. When he got down there, he hands him the coin. Guess what? His fears were relieved. And his day was awesome. He probably cast out another line because he's a fisherman, right? But the thing is, he didn't miss it. But what's amazing then is later on, Jesus says, I will build my church on this man. His foundation was Peter. And the other disciples too. But this same guy who just kept putting his foot in his mouth, what happens? So let's go to the next thing. So this is what I said before. My heart is hard and my prayers are cold. This is when reading the Bible doesn't stop me. So Jesus built a foundation in the church, for the church in the lives of the disciples, right? And with Peter. Here's something that is true also. He's building a foundation here just like he did in the Bible. He isn't using hesitant people or those in denial. They haven't made themselves available. But something has started here long before I came back. And you know what? I'm getting swept up in it, and I love it. I mean, when I first came to visit, I was like, okay, this will be interesting, and I know these people, and it's going to be fun seeing everybody. But I saw a health here, a real health in something going on. God was moving. God was doing some stuff, and I was like, well, that looks good. This feels really good. And it was very easy for me to say yes to coming here. Super easy. So last Wednesday night, let's go to the next one. Last Wednesday night, God began to move even more. You know, it's cool. More kids every week. And let me tell you, food is a great draw. I think that's awesome. We need to keep that up. I think that's really great. But just so you know, 5 kids last Wednesday night said the prayer to receive Christ. 5. Honestly, you know, we'll work with them and we'll work some more. I'm not sure exactly how sincere everything was, but we're going to find out. Absolutely. But 5 said that prayer. I think that shows you something, right? So the junior high actually began to build an identity as a group also. I mean, that's significant. That really is. It's pretty awesome. And then the senior high went on doing the same things. So what's the next brick in the foundation? Go ahead to the next one. This. I found out a long time ago that people prayed for me when I was a kid. My brothers and sisters have all been caught up in alcohol, one in drugs. He's away from it now. All of my brothers and sisters have had issues with their children. Their children have been caught up in different addictions. I mean, if you look at me and compare me to my brothers and sisters, just how our lives are, I'm not saying I'm better. I'm saying my life is easier. My life is so much easier than their drama, the stuff they're caught up in, the stuff that just grabs them and won't let go. What's the difference? Why am I standing here? Why am I a pastor and they're not? Sure, I mean, I did make some decisions, right? And they made different decisions. I mean, that happens, right? But I can tell you specifically, I know many people prayed for me as a kid. I grew up with, most of my friends were children of professors at Taylor University, where I ended up going to school. And, you know, parents like that, they want their children, don't we all? They want their children to hang out with and to be connected with positive children, right? Because we all know that if you mix bad with good, the bad will rub more on the good than the good on the bad. And so you really wonder about that and you worry about that, right? You want to make sure the kids that your kids are hanging with are good, and they prayed for me. Some of them told me this later on, and it didn't surprise me. But my best friend, Chuck Miller, his grandmother, who's still alive, she's over 100, her name is Josephine, and just a wonderful lady still. She prayed for me. And when she told me about it after I graduated college, I could see how real that was. And I mean, it touched me pretty deeply. And as much as I believe the Bible, as much as I love Jesus, I believe that stuff. And I believe also that prayer works. That prayer worked in my life. I am here because they prayed for me. My children are here because they prayed for me. Me. So, I want to tell you about a kid we have in our group, and he's here today, but I don't know where he went. He's a good friend of mine, and I hope to become a lot better friend of his. His name is Reuben. His sister is down here. Is she? Where'd she go? Okay. I can't tell you why God captured my heart for Reuben. I can't tell you. But man, I watch for him. And he's a little bit of a wild child. And his life's not perfect. And he said that prayer, but we'll investigate, okay? But I get Reuben. You can have him too. You can pray for him too. But this morning, we're starting a little prayer campaign in the children's program and in the youth program. And so, because that's in our programs, it's also part of your program, right? And it's called Spiritual Champions. About 10 years ago, Barnett came out with this curriculum, and it was called Raising Spiritual Champions. And I was like, hey, that sounds great. So I got it. Well, I was a children's pastor at the time, and I go through the whole thing, and it's all written in like adultese. It wasn't written to children, which was a little strange to me. And the second thing was, after I got done, I took kids through it, and I realized these kids are not leaving the children's program as spiritual champions. But they need spiritual champions, right? Josephine is a spiritual champion still for me. She still prays for me. It's awesome. I mean, I feel her prayers, and I know that when I make good decisions and when God blesses me, a lot of times I feel like it's because of his prayer. So when I say we're building a foundation, this is what I'm talking about. We need you, Andy and I, we need you to take a kid. See this one right here? He's a pretty handsome kid, pretty awesome kid, Raphael. He needs someone to pray for him every day. He needs a spiritual champion. This is what I want to say, okay? We can't miss it. We can't miss it. We can't miss that these kids need this in their life. We cannot miss what we can do for them, and they don't even know about it. Some of them are here, so they're getting a clue, right? But let me just tell you real quick what this is. This is not an accountability thing where you're going to pray with that kid and he's going to pray with you and you got to get with them sometime or anything like that. No, it's not that. It's this. You pray for him every day. On the back, there's actually what you pray. And we're going to add to this, but none of it says, oh, I have troubles with reading, or I struggle with this, or these things. It says, pray for my salvation. Pray for my attitude, pray for my family, pray for my living arrangements, pray for my friends, pray for my future, my grades, my health. Pray that I will have good friends, pray that I will be a good friend. And then right underneath it, it says very specifically, this is not a mutual arrangement. This is you saying, I will be a spiritual champion because I don't want to miss it. I don't want to miss seeing this happen. I don't want to miss seeing this happen in this church. I don't want to miss these kids that are coming to our church having somebody praying for them. This is how we build a foundation. This is how we build a foundation in the youth group, and this is how we build a foundation in the children's program. Just so you know, 12 months from now, I'm taking kids to Hawaii. We're going on a work and witness trip to Hawaii, and they're pretty excited about that, as am I. I just spoke yesterday with Charles Broadhead. He's the pastor at Kona. Good friend of mine, best friend in ministry. He's an awesome guy. We've worked together before many times, and we're going to do it for $1,200 a kid. So we got 12 months now. We're going to raise that money. We're going to make that happen. And this is going to be something they never forget, right? You know what else they'll never forget? Somebody prayed for me. Some kids won't get to go because we can only take so many, right? That's going to be tough. However, I will tell you this. Every kid can get prayed for. I've never been to Hawaii. I've lived my whole life so far. I've never been to Hawaii. I miss it. I want to go. What's that? Yeah, but those are going to be hard fought for seats, I think. Chaperones. I'm glad that I got through that part. Pastor asked me this morning, she looked at my eyes, she's like, what's wrong with your eye? I didn't want to tell her I've been crying all day. Because God's really touched my heart for these kids. And I want the best for them. And I know I can't just have them all live with me. I don't have an orphanage. I can't do those things. But what I can do is help to build a foundation in their life of that prayer. So not only are we going to be in the back for anyone that wants to house some girls for next week. We have 14. We're also going to be back there, not just this week, but we're going to be back there until we have every child in our area prayed for. We need to be spiritual champions for them, and they need us. So it may not be something that you're accustomed to doing, but I hope during this time that God has touched your heart a little bit about missing things and about his humor and the way he works and how serious he is about all of these things. You know what? Jesus did all the time. This is one thing that definitely stopped me as I read the Bible. Jesus was always going off to prayer. Always. Jesus believed in prayer. He believed in that connection with God. So, I think this is very biblical. I think it's very strong. And I can't wait to see our foundation in our youth program and in our children's program grow. And we'll be seeing pretty deep ministry. 5 children, 5 students last week said the prayer. I think our goal this year might be 20. Wouldn't that be a good number for this year? 20 students coming to Christ. So that's our goal. And we're praying for that, and we're working to that. So I guess we pray and in the service, but I'd like to hear what anybody has to say about this, and I definitely would like to connect you to this program. If you want to take 20 kids, because that's the kind of person you are, you want to pray for that many, we'll give you one card, and then we'll list you on the rest of the list. Melissa has the list, and if you take a kid, we want to know what their name was that you took. And believe me, we're going to have more kids next week, and the next week, and the next week. So get used to spiritual champions, because we're going to be going, hey, guess what? We need 10 more spiritual champions. Who's ready? Because more kids are coming. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for capturing me in the Bible. So some of the stories are so goofy and they're so funny. I'm so glad you left those in and you let us see people, their warts and everything, and when they're strong and when they're weak and when they make mistakes and how you help them and care for them. Father, right now, I just want to stop and I just want to pray for Reuben. What a great kid. I know he's got a family. I know he's got people around him. But Father, I want to pray that you give him a good day and you help him to be a good friend. Help him to try harder in school. Help him to be more interested in being nice than making a joke. Father, thank you for Reuben. Thank you. Thank you for Reuben. Thank you for the Bible. Thank you for Jesus. Thank you for all these kids. I mentioned Reuben, but he's not the only one that's caught my heart. They all have. And I'll be praying for them all. But Father, I just pray that right now you just move in our hearts. Help us to see how we can pray and how we can help build the foundation of this church. Father, thank you for moving in my heart and in my life. In your name, amen.